I thought I was alone in the forest, until I heard breathing outside my tent.
The Whispering Forest. Most forests look calm and beautiful during the day. Sunlight passes through the tall trees, birds sing, and the wind moves gently through the leaves. But some forests feel very different after sunset. People who spend enough time in the wilderness often say the same thing. Sometimes the forest becomes too quiet. This story begins with a traveler named Daniel who loved exploring nature. One autumn weekend, he decided to camp deep inside a large forest far away from the noise of the city. The trail was long, and by the time he reached a small open clearing, the sun was already setting behind the mountains. The sky slowly turned orange and purple as evening arrived. Daniel placed his backpack on the ground and began setting up his small tent near a group of tall pine trees. The air was cool, and the forest looked peaceful. Soon darkness covered the woods. Daniel started a small campfire and sat beside it, enjoying the quiet night and the sound of burning wood. For a while, everything felt normal. But around midnight, something strange happened. The forest slowly became silent. The insects stopped making noise. The wind stopped moving. Even the leaves on the trees became completely still. Daniel noticed the sudden silence and looked around the dark forest. At first, he thought it was just his imagination. Then he heard something. A soft sound coming from somewhere between the trees. It sounded almost like a whisper carried by the wind. Daniel picked up his flashlight and slowly pointed it toward the dark woods. The light moved across the tall trees. For a moment, nothing was there. But deep in the forest shadows, something felt different. It felt like someone, or something, was quietly watching him. And the deeper he looked into the darkness, the stronger that feeling became. The Whispering Forest. Daniel slowly lowered the flashlight, trying to calm himself. It's probably just the wind, he thought. But the forest was still completely silent. He sat beside the campfire for a few more minutes, listening carefully to the darkness around him. Then suddenly, crunch, a soft sound came from the forest. It sounded like dry leaves being stepped on. Daniel quickly turned his flashlight back toward the trees. The beam of light moved slowly across the forest. Tall trees, long shadows, nothing unusual. But then the sound came again. Crunch, crunch. Something was definitely moving somewhere between the trees. Daniel stood up and looked deeper into the darkness. The strange feeling returned. The feeling that someone, or something, was watching him from the woods. A cool wind suddenly passed through the forest, making the branches move gently. For a brief moment, the sound of the moving leaves almost sounded like whispering voices. Daniel felt uneasy. He decided it would be better to rest inside his tent until morning. Before entering the tent, he took one last look at the forest. Everything looked normal again. Dark trees, quiet night, still air. But later that night, Daniel suddenly woke up. Outside the tent, he heard the same slow footsteps again, moving somewhere between the trees. He stayed completely still, listening carefully. After a few seconds, the footsteps stopped. The forest became silent once more. The next morning, when Daniel packed his gear and prepared to leave, he noticed something unusual near the edge of the clearing. Footprints. They were not animal tracks, and they were not his either. The strange footprints were leading away from the campsite, going deeper into the forest.